Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So we've seen some absolutely insane Bitcoin price action over the last couple of days, with Jerome Powell issuing a statement hinting at interest rate cuts totaling a full basis point over the next year. As expected, the market was sent absolutely rallying, and the upcoming rate meeting in September seems like it's going to be a big one. So what does this all mean for Bitcoin in both the short term and the high time frame? Let's jump into the charts today and talk about it. As always, before we dive in, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and sign up to my free Telegram for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're a trader and you're interested in joining my VIP trading channel, be sure to message me down below on Telegram. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Alrighty guys, so diving into the charts, let's talk about all the recent price action from Bitcoin before we jump into our analysis, and how the changing economic landscape is going to impact or potentially impact the high time frame and short time frame price action. So taking a look here, if you guys have been following along the last couple of days, earlier on this week, the price action from Bitcoin was not looking all that great. On Tuesday, we lost our 4-month-long uptrend over here by falling below $115,900, and we had tumbled down to retest this macro level of support at 112k. We know it was a huge level of support. It was a prior break of structure level all the way back in July, and testing it here as well in August. That was when we saw the bounce and rally up to 124,000. So it's a huge level of support. And on the weekly chart as well, we were also falling below the base of our current weekly range at $114,000. So across the charts on the high time frame price action, things weren't looking all that good. Now that takes us to yesterday. In this most recent retest of $112,000, we had some really bullish news come out. We had the federal speech, or the one of the meetings, and it was, I guess, released to the public that we can potentially expect a full point of basis cuts over the next, a full basis point cut over the next year. And with only 3 meetings left for 2025, it has aggressively skewed the probabilities of seeing a rate cut in September, October, and December, moving into the next 12 months of, interest rate meetings. So if we take a look at CME FedWatch, we can see the probability now of seeing a 25 basis point in the next September rate meeting. So that's in 24 days, I believe. If we scroll up, 24 days, 25 days, is now sitting at 75%. A massive difference from what we were previously, where we had consistently seen pretty much a 90-80% chance of seeing absolutely no change for the next 3-month period. Now, if we take a look at the price action once again, we can see that the reaction to that information was really bullish. At least on the short term, Bitcoin has rallied so far towards $117,000. We've seen a slight correction since, but it looks like sentiment could really be shifting. So let's take a look now at the price action, do our analysis. Starting off on the short term reaction here for Bitcoin, what's going to trigger further bullish price action, and then zoom out to the higher time frame and how these changing economic landscapes might have an impact on the long-term trajectory of Bitcoin over the next year. Now, before we get into any more analysis, guys, let's really quickly touch on one of the most important parts of being a successful trader, and that's managing your trading fees. So BTC has partnered with me to help you guys out and give you 15% off all of your trading fees. So if you'd like to support the channel and you're still really looking for a great non-KYC exchange with lots of listings, high liquidity, and security, BTC is definitely a great one to check out. And as a thank you for signing up under my affiliate code, you can get 10% off your VIP membership if you message me your membership number when you check out your VIP membership. Thanks. Let's get back into the charts. So zooming into the short-term price action, we can see the immediate reaction from the market was very bullish. Bitcoin zoomed all the way up to $117,000, and since then we have seen a very slight correction here, back down to retest this change of character level on the short term. So if we map out the price action, essentially, we had a prior short-term uptrend, downtrend, that's this one here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 points of retest of that downtrend, and upon breaking out there after that bullish news, we pushed past this first change of character level, and that is going to be our current level of key short time frame support. If we lose that, we can expect a further bearish continuation towards 112 macro support again. But while we consolidate above 114.5 thousand, that prior change of character level, we can potentially expect further bullish continuation if we continue to clear these prior highs in that downtrend. So our current level of short time frame resistance then is starting from 116.6 to $117,000. We can see that mapped out by this prior high, and then our final level of resistance there on the short term is $118.5 thousand, the range high for our downtrend. Above that, if we manage to establish 118.5 successfully as a base of support, we can expect bullish consolidation into this next range up here, right? Where we sort of reclaim those prior territories above 118,000 and towards 124. So on the short time frame, we are no longer printing lower highs. We're finally printing higher highs for the first time. And if that continues, we can expect continuation of the bullish trajectory on the short term. If we zoom out to the daily chart as well, we can see that as Bitcoin retests that 117K resistance at the prior high on the short term, on the daily chart, we're also retesting our prior structural resistance on the 4-month uptrend, right? So currently, we are seeing that little bit of a rejection there. We're testing support on the short term at that prior change of character level, as well as the 50 EMA on the daily chart. So essentially, what we're seeing here on the daily time frame is confirming what we're seeing in the short time frame, that this little range here is going to be our sort of neutral territory moving forward. And if we manage to clear above that, we're aiming for that $118,000 level, that prior and final level of resistance, our range high on the short term, which also lines up with that resistance right there on the daily time frame, as well as our point of control on the VRPV at 118,000. So if we clear above that, once again, we'll see this more bullish range of consolidation starting from 118 and up to 124K. And so all that's pretty simple. We're essentially seeing a bounce from macro support and a reclamation of prior highs. Now, the convoluted analysis kind of comes in when we talk about the higher time frame, because a lot ends up riding on this upcoming September meeting, right? If we end up seeing a rate cut in September for the first time pretty much since September 2024, right? This entire 2025 year period, we were supposed to see at least a 50 basis point cut in total. We haven't seen any of those. We've only got 3 rate meetings left, and that leads us to believe that if that statement, that earlier statement holds true, and we only have 3 rate meetings left, we will see the original 50 basis point cut over the next 3 months, September, October, and December, these 3 rate meetings up here. And then in early to late 2026, or over the next 12-month period, we'll see the next or the latter end of that 50 basis point cut, making a total of a full basis point cut as they talked about just yesterday. So if all that holds true, we should be expecting our first rate cut in September. And so that leads me to believe that on the high time frame, while this news was really, really bullish, we're very likely going to see higher time frame consolidation from Bitcoin until that September rate meeting, and we get confirmation that those rate cuts are actually going to happen. And so if we zoom out to the weekly chart, we can start to talk about that potential consolidation that we can expect on the high time frame that's going to validate that bullish potential, and what exactly will also invalidate that and, send Bitcoin potentially tumbling moving into that September rate meeting. So on the weekly chart here, we can see a quite distinctive weekly range. It starts up here at $119.4 thousand. That is the highest the weekly price has been able to close, and our weekly range low, which is in this current segment of consolidation at the lowest the weekly price has closed, and that is at $114.1 thousand. Now, moving into the weekly candle close at the early end of this week, we were seeing some warning signs, right? Bitcoin was pushing below the weekly range here, as evidenced by this wick, and we were even potentially tapping below that prior break of structure level at 112, or our sell side liquidity, which would have triggered a much larger move downwards into this liquidity zone at $108,000 with, smaller levels of support on the daily chart. So the recent news that has just come out about the upcoming potential for rate cuts has been a sort of band-aid event on the short term. We're now much closer to the weekly candle close with only 1 day remaining, and it looks like Bitcoin is actually going to retain its movement above $114,000, which is a really, really good sign, right? We're bouncing on those macro levels of support. So the upcoming rate meeting is this dotted trend line right here, right? So it's on the 17th of September, but on the weekly chart, obviously, it only gives me the weekly candle closes as the column lines. So we've got the 15th of September as that most final weekly close before the rate meeting. And essentially what we want to see on the high time frame is for Bitcoin to retain movement within our current weekly range. On the short term, of course, if we're able to push past 118,000 and we enter that upper range of consolidation, we may even form a new weekly range high for the time being. But we're expecting further consolidation within this range now that we've had that band-aid event preventing the breakdown until the rate meeting on September, or the 15th, 17th of September. Moving over to the total cryptocurrency market chart to talk about the impacts of that recent news as well on the rest of the crypto market, we can see sort of similar developments, right? In my last video, we were tapping this macro level of support at the 50 EMA. At that news, we saw a massive bounce, and we have reclaimed this massive level of resistance here at $3.93 trillion, this change of character. So once again, right, we're seeing this sort of more bullish segment of consolidation. We're re-entering that prior range. And with that, if we continue to close within there, we can expect further bullish continuation, and upon the news, a potential breakout and movement into new all-time highs once again, and further high time frame rallying from the market. Alrighty guys, that is a wrap on today's analysis. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. If you enjoyed it or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And sign up to my free Telegram for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're a trader and you're interested in joining my VIP trading channel, be sure to message me down below on Telegram. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. And sign up down below to beat you next to get 15% off your trading fees as well. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.